We good, Joe?
No, just one more moment.
Okay.
Okay, yes, we are good.
All right then.
Okay,
So
nope,
let's-
sorry, one more thing. Gotta hit record, gotta hit record. Gotta hit record. All right. And we are recording. Great.
Okay, great. So I will call to order the annual meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Altamonte Free Library at 6:32 on January 17th, 2022. Does anybody have anything additions to add to our agenda for the annual meeting? I have one, and that is going to fall under a new number 3. So I'm just going to push everything down, and that will be the administration of the trustee oath. I left that off the original agenda when I sent it to Joe a week or so ago, and Joe was gracious enough to remind me of that yesterday or today, or I don't know, it's all a blur. Anyway, so we'll do that. That'll be number 3. Does anybody have anything else to add? Not hearing, then we'll move right into the review of the January 2021 annual meeting minutes. Does anybody have any issues with the minutes from last year's annual meeting? Any corrections, deletions, additions? Not hearing any then, and not seeing any either. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from the annual meeting from 2021? Okay, Paul and Deborah seconded. All in favor of accepting those minutes?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? Okay, and those minutes have been accepted. Joe, how do you want to do the trustee oath?
Well, so there is I sent around to everybody a form. If you would be so kind as to print it out and fill it out and return it to the library at some point once they're all returned in. I will ask you to come in and sign off on all of the returned oaths, but typically we also do the oath verbally. So
Okay.
you would do that. Do you have the text in front of you?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Let me just get it. Okay, is this going to be a repeat after me, or if I'm just going to read the oath and everyone can mute themselves and make it look like they're saying something?
I think that all goes to stylistic preference. So do what you like.
So I will just read the oath and maybe y'all can just nod along or something like that. How's that sound? All right. So this is dated January 17th, 2022, the Altamonte Free Library Trustees Oath, State of New York, Albany County. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the State of New York and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of library trustee according to the best of my ability. And then you folks would then sign that document that Joe sent to you. And then when they are all sent back to Joe, and that can be done electronically, correct, Joe?
It can be.
Okay, then I will then, when Joe lets me know, I'll go up and I'll sign those as the person who just administered the oath. Does anybody have any issues or questions about the oath? Okay, then we'll move right along then. Thank you very much for that. Let's see, where am I now? I seem to have lost, hold on, my agenda here. Oh, there, oh, no, that's, oh,
We are on to review and acceptance of the annual report.
okay. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay, so review and acceptance of the annual report. Joe sent that to you. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the annual report, or any corrections or deletions or anything that they would like to add or question about the annual report?
May I
Okay,
just say, may I just
Please
say
do.
a couple of things?
sure, please do.
Thank you. It's been a long year, been a very, very long year. Going back through all of our meeting minutes and all of our director's reports, really going back to January and February, I was astonished to realize that some of the things that we've done this year were this year and were not 2 or more years ago. So I want to say thank you to you all for all of your hard work over this past year. We have a lot to be proud of. I have a lot to be proud of. I'm very proud of my staff for all that they have done over the past year. Looking at our circulation, I was kind of I was interested to see the numbers where they would turn out to be. At the end of the director's report, we can share this, and I don't want to take up too much of our time on this, but I do think it is important. So I am going to share the report to you all. All right. As I say, this report is dedicated to the memory of our friend Dick Howie, who left us sadly in June, but who will not soon be forgotten by anybody at Altamonte Library. So looking at our circulation for this year, you see that we have compared to our average pre-pandemic, 3-year average pre-pandemic circulation, we were down by about 8.1%. And that's a combined physical and digital circulation. In a normal year, that would be pretty bad. In this year, that's actually not so bad at all. The first couple of years, the first couple of months of the year, you can see we were down 25%, 25%, 20%, 25, 32. So, even that I think is pretty good compared to what some other libraries are seeing, and certainly given all of the disruptions that we've had. As we get into later on in the year, we're actually in some months beating our pre-pandemic average circulation, and that's remarkable. And that's not only the case for digital circulation, which we've obviously seen a huge increase in, but that's also true on physical circulation. So we are actually having more people come through the door. We are lending out more things than we were in an average year 3 years before the pandemic. And where does the difference come from? Where does, if you look at 2019, a total physical circulation of 26,748 items compared to 21,000 this year. Well, it's not coming from juvenile fiction, which is up over 2019. It's not coming from YA fiction, which is up. It's not coming from adult nonfiction. It's not all coming, but a lot of it is coming from videos. So we're just not lending out as many DVDs. 4,000 items of the difference, the 57,000 item difference between 2019 and 2021 is the fact that over the last 2 years, everybody's gotten Netflix and Disney Plus, and we're just not seeing the circulation of DVDs that we saw. But in the categories that matter, children's books are going out more than they used to, not only digital, but also physical circulation. And that, I think, is something that we can be proud of. That's a good thing. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for the health of the organization.
Anything else, Joe?
I could go on, but I won't.
Okay. Well, much of this, much of this is pretty perfunctory, what we're doing today in this meeting. So if you have more to share, please do so.
Well, great. Cool. Thanks. We had a great summer. We saw huge crowds, unbelievable crowds for our story times, huge crowds for our concerts, huge crowds for our summer reading programs, the biggest summer reading program events that we've ever had. This is also a very, very good sign of the health of the organization. And it, speaks to people just wanting to get out of the house, but it also speaks to we are a, trusted community partner that people believe are going to do everything that we can do to conduct our activities in a safe and helpful manner. but also provide, a super fun afternoon of llamas and, llamas and good music. So we had a great summer. We also introduced a phenomenal new program called the Summer Reading Buddies, which was masterminded by Katie Barker and Katie Meckham over at Altamonte Elementary. We are going to be expanding that program in 2022. That was a new innovative program that I think sets a model for successful programs that we can put together going forward. And of course, we closed out the year by being named for the third time in a row, fourth time in 5 years, a Library Journal Star Library, a rare accomplishment for any library. As I say, I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of the staff. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of our community for all of the support that we have gotten. Yeah, I'll leave it there. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Can I get, does anybody have any comments? Okay, if not, can I get someone to, are we supposed to? Yeah, we are supposed to accept this, right? Yes, we are. Can I get a motion to accept Joe's annual report as he presented to us, both in writing as well as briefly here this evening?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. I don't know who said that. I just saw 4 hands though. So was that Amanda that made the motion?
Yes.
Okay, Amanda made the motion and Melanie seconded. At least that's the hand I saw that went up. All in favor? Yay. Okay. Thank you very much, Joe. And Joe, just so you know, we do appreciate everything you do. And you know that. We've told you that more than once, but you should hear it every day. We appreciate what you do here to make our library the wonderful treasure that it is for this community. Annual Treasurer's Report and 2022 budget. So I'll turn it over to Melanie.
Thanks, Dan. Does everybody have this in front of them? Were you planning to share it, Joe, or we just want to?
I'll share it.
So the first one we have to look at is the statement of financial position. And if anyone has any comments or questions or anything, once Joe shares, I can't really see anybody. So feel free to jump in. Joe or Jason, if you have anything to add that I missed, definitely jump in too. And I guess we'll just go over the 3 ones that pertain to the whole year, and then just do the statement of financial position, the one that's just from November to December in our next meeting.
Yeah, sorry, it's resisting my entreaties to be shared, but give me a second and I'll have it up.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Melanie, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I will have it up as soon as I can.
Okay, so if anyone doesn't have it, if everyone has it in front of them, it is the one that at the top says statement of financial position as of December 31st, 2021. And it actually compares, if you look at the column along the top, it'll say as of December 31st, 2021. And then the next column is as of December 31st, 2020. So essentially what this sheet is showing us is our bank accounts, our assets, our liabilities this year compared to where we were last year. And most of it does not change a whole lot. As you can see, our savings stays the same. We are fortunate enough to never that I know of have to dip into the savings for anything. Our business checking did change to the positive. We had 177,000 this year, versus last year we had 171,000. So as far as that goes, we were ahead in that account. Our CDs, again, that stayed the same. It just earned a little bit of interest. Insurance changed a little bit. And then about down the page where it says our fixed assets, that actually compares depreciation. For example, our computers aren't worth the same amount this year as they were last year just because they age, and that's what that shows. So at the bottom, you'll see a total on where it says total assets. This year, it's 1,326,261 versus 1,364,710. So that is the change in all of our assets from last year to this year. And then if you look at our liabilities, what we paid out, we have the credit card, but that just changes depending what cycle we're in. And just some of our other liabilities are our bond payment and our notes payable for that bond payment. So what we really need to look at there, you'll see at the very, very bottom, it just has our total liabilities and equity this year compared to last year, taking out that depreciation. Actually, yep, you're fine.
Good.
We did good. We did good this year. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? I know it's kind of mostly the business checking is really the big one that changes. Everything else pretty much stays the same. Okay. So the next sheet we have at the top, it's called Statement of Activity. And this compares what our accounts do monthly. Since it's the end of the year, we'll have what our accounts were from January to December of this year versus January to December of last year. So it's just a little bit more of a detailed look. The first one is and so at the all the way to the right, the percentage change just compares the two. You can see our revenue. We had a little bit more from Guilderland, 63,000 versus 61,000 from last year. You'll see our fees quite a bit different this year than last year. We were opened a lot more. And also right there, it does say our fines for this year. You can see that $814. That kind of gives you an idea. I know we're talking about fines later on. So we were not collecting fines all of this year, but a greater part than last year. A big difference. We did collect Gala revenue right about halfway through. It's coming up. You'll see the Gala revenue was 17,000 last year. We did not have a Gala this year. And our other fundraising revenue, we did have last year that annual appeal. Most of that money came in 2020, but we did have some that rolled over that people sent in 2021. So that is our difference in fundraising revenue. I think so. And then the other different grants, different gifts and donations, our gift and donations were up a little bit. And then you can see the big one at the middle is the total revenue. So our revenue this year was 165,000 versus 182,000, a little bit lower. But if you take that Gala out, still a great showing. You can see building repair, payroll. The only thing they are different. Well, there's differences, but the big difference is that audit. The audit was a full audit this year, 4,600 versus the financial review, which was a little bit cheaper last year. It's not as detailed. So the next page is just our fees, our materials, programming. Our expenses were a little bit more in programming. We did have that summer concert series this year. So we do pay the bands for that. You can see the salary. And then finally on the third page, what we really want to focus on is our net operating revenue. So it is 25,287 this year versus the 4,629 from last year. So both years we did come out ahead. We did not lose money, a little bit less this year, but again, we talked fundraising was a little bit down. And then at the bottom, it does say net revenue, but that does incorporate the depreciation, which is not actually a cash value. So just keep that in mind when you look at it. I know that was kind of a lot and fast, but anybody have any questions or anything to add for that? Okay. And now we get to see how we did with the budget, which is pretty good. So this last one is budget versus actual, what we budgeted and what we actually spent or what we actually made. And then all the way on the right, you'll see percent remaining. It is a little tricky. If it's for example, Gelderland paid us $63,000. We had budgeted for $61,000. So it does look like a negative percentage remaining. That just means that we made more than we had actually budgeted for. You can look down the side columns. We were pretty good on fees. Revenue, that summer concerts made, as we talked about, a lot more than we had anticipated. Our fundraising was a little bit lower than we had thought. I think that the Upper Hudson Library, I think we were a little bit lower than we thought. I think Joe was going to look into that just to see if that was recategorized, that 387 versus the 1,000, because that's a pretty high percentage difference. Our building repairs, we were under. Most of our office supplies, office equipment, we were under. Our library materials, you see we were 9,991 versus the 10,450 that we budgeted. Our programs, a little bit higher for the programming, but some of that I believe was the books sales that we ended up doing with the ghost stories. And again, on that third page, you'll see the actual revenue. So the expenses minus the stuff coming in. We actually made 25,000 in our budget. We had only budgeted to come ahead 15,787. So we did exceed the expectations in that. Okay. Once again, I know a lot. I know that was fast and a lot, but if anybody has any questions or any thoughts or anything else that Joe, Jason, that I missed that's important.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Melanie. Anything else, Melanie?
Oh no, I think that was enough. That's all.
All right, can we get a motion then to accept the annual treasurer's report as just presented to us? Paul, motion, Deborah seconded, all in favor? Anybody opposed or abstaining? Great, wonderful. Okay. The next thing we need to do is, do we have to do something with the 2022 budget, or we already do that?
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good.
It's just kind of a review of the
Okay.
budget, but it's already passed.
All right, there you go. That's what I thought. All right. So the rest of this evening, we just have to designate and authorize, and I keep losing my, here we go. Okay. We need to designate and authorize a number of things. So we need to designate CEFCU as our official depository of the Altamonte Free Library. No, I can't. But can somebody make a motion that we will authorize CEFCU to be our depository? Deborah, thank you. Seconded. Thank you, Amanda. All in favor? Anybody opposed or abstaining? Okay, then CEFCU remains our official depository of the Altamonte Free Library. Wonderful. Okay, let's see. Here we go. We need to authorize the president, the vice president, and the treasurer to sign checks on behalf of the Altamonte Free Library. This is what we have done over the years. So Melanie, something to say?
Yeah, quick question. I just want to, I stopped by the bank just to see what we needed to do to get people on the, to change the accounts. And currently, Dan and I are the only ones on the checking account. So I just wanted to double check about the vice president being, I wasn't sure, we just need to add the vice president, or is typically the vice president on? Saving.
Yeah, typically the vice president is on. It was kind of an onerous process last time.
Right. Oh,
And I do remember Amanda coming down with us to get on there, but maybe we never, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember I definitely signed the signature card.
well, they may have just, the counts were kind of all different people, all different ways. And just kind of along these lines, Deb, if I can just say one more thing, they did say that we needed to reflect in the minutes, so that we can print it out and take it to SEFQ, that Dan is the old president going off, Deb is the new president coming in, and Amanda is the old vice president going off, and then Shannon would be the new president. So if you could just note that somewhere, then we can just print it off and take it in for them. Thanks. Sorry.
And Joe, if you could just note that as being Dan being the past president and not the old president, that would be appreciated too. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's all right.
Yeah,
It's all
sorry
right.
about that there, Dan.
That's okay. It's all creeping up on me. Okay, so can we get a motion to, whatever we're getting a motion, authorizing the president, the vice president, and the treasurer to sign checks on behalf of the Altamonte Free Library. A motion, please. Thank you, Paul. Seconded by Melanie. All in favor? Okay, anybody opposed or abstaining? Didn't think so. Okay, and we need to authorize the president and the director or appropriate designee to utilize the SEFQ MasterCard for purchases on behalf of the Altamonte Free Library. You recall that we have this all as one of our policies, and the president and the director, the library director, are those two designees to use the MasterCard. Can I get a motion to authorize the president and the director to utilize the MasterCard for purchases on behalf of the library? We need somebody to, oh wait, did I miss? I don't have my, okay. Thank you, Katie. Seconded by? Sure, Melanie. Okay, and Paul, it was a tie. All in favor? And anybody opposed or abstaining? Okay, we're moving right along. We need to designate TM Bixby Company, Certified Public Accountants, New York, PC, to conduct the annual financial audit for the Altamonte Free Library. Can I get a motion that we will designate the TM Bixby Company to do just that? Thank you, Deborah. Seconded. Thank you, Catherine. All in favor? Now, I'm making the assumption nobody has any questions about this because this is all kind of, kind of boilerplate kind of thing. So, but I'm hoping if you had any questions that you would actually ask them as we go along here. Number 10, authorize the board president and treasurer to invest certificate of deposits in any of the designated official depositories. And again, it's just something that we need to authorize the president and the treasurer to invest the certificates of deposits that we tend to roll over from year to year, but that could change in the coming year. So can I get a motion to allow the president and the treasurer to do that? Thank you, Christine, very much. And seconded. Oh, Joe, you have a question?
I was just saying hi to Shannon.
Oh. Anybody want a second, Christine? Thank you, Paul. All in favor? Yay. Anybody opposed or abstaining? All right, excellent. Thank you very much. We're almost done. Designate the Robert T. Schofield, Esquire, in the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah to serve as legal counsel for the Altamonte Free Library. And a motion that we will, whatever I just read to you guys, designate that. Thank you, Deborah. Seconded by Melanie. All in favor? Very good. We're on a roll here. And anybody abstaining or no? I didn't think. And then set meeting dates for 2022 that were noted at the bottom. As is our custom, we would not be having a meeting in July, but the meeting dates are noted there: January 17th, February 21st, March 21st, 18th of April, 16th of May, 20th of June, 15th of August, 19th of September. Whoops, where's December go? Oh, there's December. 17th of October, 21st of November, and then 19th of December. I don't think we don't need to do anything with that. We're just setting the meeting dates there, correct? Or do we have to actually? Yes, okay, we're good with that. Are there any other business or comments? Then can I get a motion to adjourn our annual meeting?
Well, hold on. Not,
Okay.
not quite yet.
All
Sorry.
right.
Yes. Wait, so did you approve, you set the meeting dates? Okay, so you don't have to approve that. Okay,
Right.
cool. So
We're
now
just
I
setting
can
the
do
meeting
this.
dates, right?
So now I can do this. Dan, it's Dan reminded me before the beginning of this evening's meeting, or told me for the first time because I didn't know this, that the first time that he served on the board, they extended his term so that he could serve longer. That is to say that he was on in his first term for at least 7 years, was off while Christine, his lovely wife, served on the board for 6, and now has come back to the board for 6. So that makes it 19 years since either Dan or Christine has not been on an official member of the Altamonte Library family. But of course, Dan has been an integral part of this board and our library community, and I am absolutely certain that he will remain an integral member of our library community. I have tremendous, and I'm sure that you can all join me in my gratitude to Dan for all that he has done for this library over his tenure here. Thank you for everything, Dan. Thank you for always being available when I needed to talk. Thank you for helping. Thank you for coming out in the middle of the night on Martin Luther King Day 3 years ago when the alarms were going off. And thank you for all of the chickens that you have barbecued. And thank you for all of the committee meetings and all of the everything. When you started in on the board, I'm not sure if the renovation plan had even gotten off the ground yet. So you have been through quite a lot with this library over your long tenure, and it will never be forgotten. So thank you. You are welcome to come back anytime. Christine is also welcome to come back anytime.
I'll let her know that.
Just let us know. Just let us know. We do have some goodies there. My hope had been that I would drop those off to you this afternoon before the meeting, but they are over at the library now. So there's a very nice card signed by everybody that you see in front of you here. And there's some additional neat stuff that you've got coming your way. So Dan, thank you very, very, very much.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I have really enjoyed getting to know some of you folks as well as working with you all. And it goes without saying that I love our wonderful library, and thank you very much for those kind words, Joe. And now it's 7:04, and you all got to get to your monthly meeting. So there you go.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, bye-bye.
We actually, is Dan gone? Oh, no. Well, we actually do need an adjournment. So can somebody give it a motion to adjourn?
You're right. You got to have a motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Deborah. Seconded by Shannon. All in favor? Yes. All right. Enjoy. See you all.
All right. So we are done with the annual meeting. So now we could do one of two things. We could just stick with the link that I sent out earlier and that we're currently on. I think everybody's here. I don't think it's going to cause any confusion if we just roll into the next meeting. Is there anybody who we're missing that we're not expecting to see? The one possibility is Rachel, but I think she would be able to figure it out. So I say let's just roll right into the monthly meeting. We are going to be changing temporary secretaries. So Catherine, from here on out, if you wouldn't mind taking the minutes, I would sincerely appreciate it. And we are going to welcome in a new era, a new president. So Deborah, please take it away.
Thank you. Let me just bring up the agenda. Sorry, folks, I'm switching hats here, and it's just taking me a second to. Joe, did we sorry. Did we want to start with Natalie's presentation?
We certainly could. And Natalie, I do see you there. Are you able to hear us and are you able to see us? All right, great.
I'm good. Yep.
Very good. Then why don't we jump right into it then? Okay.
Was that my cue to go, Joe?
No, that was not your cue to go. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so welcome to anybody who is viewing this meeting on YouTube Live. Welcome to the January 2022 board meeting of the Altamonte Free Library. This video is being taped and streamed on YouTube Live. If you would like to make comments, you may do that in the comments box on YouTube Live. They will be read into the official record, and a transcript will be available on the library's website at some point very, very soon of this meeting. So having said all of that, we are going to be discussing something that we have talking about for the past two meetings. And that is the concept of fine elimination. Earlier today, and I'm sorry it was so late, but it was earlier today, I sent out two items, one from Natalie, one from myself. Oh, actually, and one from David Byrne of the Talking Heads. So I hope that everybody has had the opportunity to read through those. If you haven't, especially read through the David Byrne piece. It's delightful. But what we're going to be talking about is the concept of doing away with overdue fines. We have started down on this road into 2020 by doing away with overdue fines on children's materials. In 2021, we expanded that by doing away with overdue fines on young adult materials. And it is my hope that in the near future, we will be able to do away with all overdue fines. This is not a new concept within the library world, although it may be new to some of us. There are many libraries that have taken up fine elimination over the past couple of years, and especially over the past year, the process has been gaining steam, with Voorheesville and Guilderland joining the ranks of the fine-free crowd just over the past year. I'm going to introduce Natalie Hurto, the Upper Hudson Library System's Adult Services Manager. She has spoken to boards in large libraries and small, in Albany and Rensselaer County, and she's going to be speaking with us tonight about eliminating fines. So, Natalie, go ahead and take it away. Oh, no, sorry. Last thing about Natalie. Natalie, of course, was a member of this very board, when she was a younger person. She was, I believe, still in high school when she started working. Well, no, you were in high school when you started working at the library.
No, I was in high school when I started skipping school to spend time at the library.
Cool.
I didn't become a trustee until I was like 24, 25, and it was under Dan, actually.
Oh, there you go. And Natalie loves the library so much that she got married at the library. We are coming up very soon on her 5th wedding anniversary, and Natalie has chosen to mark the occasion by conducting an online Facebook fundraiser on behalf of Altamonte Free Library, which has raised to this point nearly $500. So thank you very much, Natalie, and go ahead and take it away.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here. As Joe said, we've been talking about, Altamonte going completely fine-free for a couple of months now, especially with Guilderland making the motion to go. And I know there was some talk of you guys doing it at the same time because you serve the same community. So it would be nice to kind of have that package deal to have the same service to your patrons. So Joe said he sent out my packet to you earlier today. Hopefully you got a chance to read through it. If you didn't, the one thing I want you to take away from that packet is, I do say one thing, like, if you are voting today to go completely fine free, I just want you to understand that doesn't mean it happens tomorrow. This takes as long as it needs to take for you to plan out your PR. Like I said, if you want to plan that with Guilderland, I think Guilderland is planning to do it with their budget. So that'll be sometime in June and July. That gives you enough time to do your PR piece. It gives Joe enough time to talk to our Joe at Upper Hudson to do different policies, if you want to speed up your build notices, if you want to change any kind of time period for loans. It gives you all the time you need to plan out what fine-free means for you. So just because if you vote today that you're going completely fine-free, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. And I just want to stress that there's no right way to go fine-free. Whatever's right for you guys is the right way. So I didn't really have a full presentation planned out today. I did send in a Q&A. Those were the most like discussed questions that people have. So I'm just going to leave it open to questions to any that you might have.
Well, I will bring that up so that everybody can see that if they haven't already.
And I have it too, if you don't.
And I did put out a call for questions from board members ahead of time. We did get one great question from Shannon about how do we put out the message, because there's some if we do vote to go ahead with final elimination, there's some nuance to the message. It can't just be big banner headlines that say fine free, because that's not, unfortunately, how it works in all cases. There are some circumstances where fines would still be accruing on materials that our borrowers are borrowing if the libraries that those items are coming from do still charge overdue funds. So there's a bit of nuance. So I did put out a call to my fellow directors. I got great feedback from Albany, from Voorheesville, Sarah Clark over at Voorheesville, Melissa Tacky over at the Castleton Public Library was very helpful as always in giving us their messaging points and their publicity materials, so that we can craft that message in an effective way, but in a way that's permeable. The one thing that I will say is that we would, if we do go ahead with this, likely be working in tandem with the Guilderland Public Library, and their PR staff, headed by Luann Nicholson, is very, very good at messaging. So I would hope that she would be involved in our process. So let me just go ahead and pull up Natalie's thing.
Yeah, and I would think with Guilderland, they would absolutely utilize, their connections with the Times Union and obviously Altamonte Enterprise. So, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. When I went completely fine-free at Brunswick, we just used social media and kind of had a Q&A of people, just writing into us if they had any questions. I know APL had a full campaign, took out, ads in the paper. There was a whole article. The former director did a piece on the news. So, I mean, this can be as big or as small as you want it to be. Again, I think that would be a conversation between Joe and Tim in terms of marketing, if you guys are going to do it with Guilderland. Excuse me.
So, Joe, I actually had a follow-up question to
Sure.
that, to some of the exceptions where we would be charging fines.
Yep.
So, and I may be misremembering something, or there may be a rule here that I would be messing up. If I remember correctly, when we collect fines on behalf of libraries that charge fines, we keep the money, right?
So that is the way that it's. So the agreement that we have with all of the other libraries in the system is called the Oulan Agreement. So it's the agreement that not only binds the libraries to Upper Hudson, but the libraries to one another. And that Oulan Agreement lays out. It's pretty simple, basically. Libraries, patrons can pay overdue fines at any library, and that library keeps those overdue fines, whether the items were checked out from the library that the fines are being paid or not. If it is lost materials, the lost materials those fines have to go back to the library that owns the item that was lost. But otherwise, the fines are held locally.
So could we choose to waive collection of fines on behalf of other libraries since we wouldn't be shorting them any money?
So just a clarification, yes, as long as it's not a billed item. So if you just have like a $2 or $3 fine on something and somebody comes in to Altamonte and you scan their card in and they're showing that they have the $2 or $3 fine, you absolutely can waive that as long as it's not a bill. Like there was a picture book that went lost and now it's billed.
Right. I'm just thinking that, so my original question on messaging was, how do we let people know what the exceptions are? If you get a book through Altamonte that came from a fine charging library and they're charging fines on, if we can waive that, I think that makes makes fewer exceptions and makes it a lot easier for people to use a system fine free.
Yeah. So the way I explain it to people, like the simplest way to understand it is the building is fine free, not the materials.
Right. But you don't necessarily have control over where materials come from if you've requested them and they come from a different library. You don't necessarily know the status of the source library.
Correct. But as long as you're in a fine-free library, it doesn't matter where the materials come from. They will be fine-free when you check them out.
Okay.
So Shannon, is your question, so if I request something that comes from the Colony Library, which still does charge fines, and I return it late, is the Altamonte Free Library, is your question, is the Altamonte Free Library empowered to waive those overdue fines?
Yes. Yeah. And
Yes.
is that something that we can choose to do?
Yes, it is, but we can't choose. I would be very reluctant to choose to do it in any kind of an automatic fashion. I wouldn't want to scour the database for overdue fines on the off chance that people were going to come to our doors, hoping to pay them. What I would encourage if we go forward, and if it's okay with all of you, we would train the staff to manually waive those overdue fines at the checkout desk.
Yeah, and that's what we did at Brunswick. I know APL, they did like a complete report of all of their card holding patrons, and they waived all of their fines. Like they just did a clean slate. At Brunswick, just because it's smaller, like Altamonte, I wanted to have that face to face with the patrons, and we waived their fines as they came in.
Okay. Yeah, I would just be seeking to avoid having someone come in to return a book from Colony and have us say, oh, well, you owe 50 cents or whatever. And then one of our library staff having to explain, well, we're fine free, but Colony isn't, and it came from them. So, so you owe us 50 cents. It's just, it's I think, an awkward and an unpleasant conversation for a patron who's not expecting to be charged for something. And if we're empowered to avoid that, I think whatever Joe, you and the library staff think is the best way to implement that would be fine. I don't want people to have those interactions if they don't need to.
Thank you for that considerate opinion, and that's very well noted. I mean, it's a good point, and that would be my strong preference as well. I do want to say I don't mean to pick on Colony. Colony gets picked on a lot of times in these conversations, but it could be any of the libraries that still do charge fines.
Yeah.
I do have one question that kind of relates back to this. If a consumer has a fine and they pay it on the website, where do those funds go?
So there's some kind of algorithm internally that does know what the owning item is. So say you go into Altamonte and you checked out 5 things and they're from 5 different libraries and you end up getting fines on all of them and you pay them online, it does disperse them out online. It goes to the owning library.
Last year, over the course of
No,
go ahead.
Even if we go fine free, but someone makes their requests online, and picks them up in Altamonte, could they still end up with fines?
So if Altamonte goes fine free, Anything that gets checked out at Altamonte will be subject to the fine free. So let's say you checked out at, I'm trying to think, Colony, because they're the closest and they're still charging fines. Let's say you checked out at Colony, an Altamonte book, and you're late and you get that fine and then you pay it online, Altamonte will still get money.
I meant like vice versa. So I check out an East Greenbush book, but I request it to be picked up in Altamonte.
Okay, then the book will be fine free because Altamonte, it will be a fine free facility.
And that will that be reflected online? So if someone checks it out in Altamonte, and then they go to look at their online account, knowing that the book is late, are they going to see that they are not charged a fine based on where it was checked out?
Correct. There's no fine. Yep.
Oh, great. Okay, so there wouldn't be any conflict between what people see on their online account and what they would get in person.
Correct. Yep. It's like, and that's what I said. It's important to remember, like, it's the building, not the material. So wherever library you go, you are subject to their checkout rules.
Okay.
Is there anywhere, maybe it's something they're working on, but a list of the fine-free libraries and or the ones that do still charge fines? Is that somewhere on like an Upper Hudson website? Just so like if somebody's looking for it.
It's not on the website. I do have it. I can pull it up, but there are 20 out of 29 libraries that are fine free.
Is that something that maybe would behoove us to make public to the public, just so that they know as part of this promotion PR kind of saying this is, you know, just aware if this is something that happens, so that it kind of eases that, you know, possible tension perhaps, that they're like, well, what do you mean I have a fine? And then we have to go through, oh no, sorry, you don't have a fine because you're here at Altamonte. We'll clear out, but I think it just helps educate them that there are still some libraries out there in existence that are fine free and not fine free. So I didn't know if there was already something out there or just in the works.
I think
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I think that Upper Hudson would be reluctant to put out something of that nature because it would seem to favor, you know, or encourage patrons to one of the member libraries over some of the others. And that's not Upper Hudson's role. That might be something that, you know, we might do ourselves, but I don't think it would be something that Upper Hudson would necessarily be interested in doing. Am I off base on that, Natalie?
Yeah, and it just also too, as much as my director keeps reminding me that I can't make libraries do anything. Those libraries that are not fine free, it's not that they don't want to be. They have a different, you know, set of rules. You know, they're either municipal libraries and their hands are very much tied. So it could, I think, you know, they would feel like Upper Hudson is pushing them to go a certain way and feeling pressured to do something when they can't for whatever reason. So it's not that we're not fully supportive either, you know, either way. And this is not, you know, something we want to do is see as a full system go fine free. But yeah, we're reluctant to make it look like this is our agenda and we want everybody to do it.
And I have been, you know, I have been reluctant to put on the full court press on this at Altamonte, though this has been something that I have believed for a very, very long time, simply because I feel that it would be best done at the system level. If all of the libraries were involved, if all of the libraries were contributing to a continuity of user experience across the entire system, I think we would get more bang for our buck if we were to be able to do something at the system level. And so that is something that I've pushed for in directors' meetings for years and years and years and years now, and Natalie knows this. But we're just not getting there. We're just not getting to a place where all of those libraries are going to be able to go fine free anytime soon. And I don't want any more time to go by that, you know, we've sunk into, you know, not doing something that I believe very strongly in the interests of, you know, getting a better outcome in the end with I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good.
Amanda, to your point, like in terms of marketing, especially if, you know, you're doing like Joe, I don't know how you want to handle this, but if you were doing almost like a cute interview or something with the Altamonte Enterprise, like a Q&A, like, hey, this is not that big of a deal. There's 20 out of 29 libraries that are, fine free. This is, not a new idea. I can see it being like much more harmless, to do something that way, than it being like, Upper Hudson saying it, or but I think it would be like a soft touch to maybe have like a community conversation about it.
Yeah, and I'm more meant along the lines, like, I didn't know if a list actually existed for my own self, like, what are the other libraries that are going to charge fines and whatnot. So I just know if there was any information out there, but, I think it is, to say, listen, 20 out of the 29 libraries are moving in this direction, and it's a really great move. And that, like you're saying, use it as a good PR, but also too, so that we know, or the, Altamont Library staff knows just what libraries still do charge fines as a just in case, or just something. I believe that the better educated the public is, the
Yep.
less turmoil you do get. So instead of having them go hunt for it, I'd rather hand some sort of information to them if we have that. We don't have to go raging public, but something on hand in case somebody asks us, so we don't like have egg on our face that we don't know who still charges fines.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it would be great to have like even just like little flyers or little cheat sheets, just to, kind of remind yourself like, hey, it's the building that's fine free, not the materials. Here's the list of all the libraries that are fine free. I think that would be a fantastic piece of information for trustees to have.
Natalie, one way or the other at the end of this discussion, can you send me, it doesn't have to be tonight, but that list?
Yep.
Because I don't have it. So
Yeah, it's saved in the PowerPoint from the Gilderlin one. So,
Okay.
And I just been updating that one slide, but yeah, I'll absolutely send it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, unless there are any other questions that folks have, just a couple of other points that I would like to have, sort of made for the record. This is something that is increasingly the primary mode of doing business at many, many libraries. I am sure that we all noted when the largest public library in, I believe, the world, New York Public Library, did away with overdue fines 4 or 5 months ago. That was a huge deal. And it really goes to show that if a library that size can do it, then so can we. Overdue fines have been a significant part of our revenue stream over the past several years. Going back to 2015 when I took over, we were taking in $2,500 each year in lost and overdue fines. That amount has dwindled considerably since the pandemic, and the onset of auto renewal. There's one in the fridge, bud. I'm sorry, pardon me. Okay. Yeah, the with the onset of auto renewal, it's going to, we're all public libraries in the Upper Hudson system are going to see a substantial decline in overdue fines. It's most materials that are coming back either on the due date or very, very close to it on one side or the other. 3 dates seems to be the average that Bethlehem detected in their recent report on it. So we're not going to see a whole lot of overdue fines coming up beyond the period that auto renewal will automatically be allowing folks for most materials that are requestable. And so we're going to see a decline in the revenue. The thing that we sort of need to keep our eye on is what portion of our revenue is that, and it's a declining share. It's a declining share of our overall we need that money less now than we did in 2015 or earlier than that. We've got, we've heard the annual financial report. We're in good shape. We can take the hit and to the extent that we are going to be losing some money on this, this is an intrinsic good. This is, I feel, an intrinsic good that the amount of money that we're making on overdue fines doesn't really necessarily enter into it. I have been on both sides of the circulation desk, being told that I can't check out, and also having to tell people, not here, but at other libraries, that they can't check out. And the look on a kid's face when you tell them that they can't check out and that they owe too much, and, talk to your mom or talk to your dad and see what they can do with can you find the book? Can you pay the overdue fines? Having to tell those kids is something that I never want to have to do again. It's totally antithetical. It's not something we always find ways of working around those kinds of issues at Altamonte Free Library. The staff is instructed to do that. In any case where we really can, I can sort of, imagine a case where there's so many books and they're so overdue that, it would become an issue, but we haven't seen it. Not at Altamont, not in my tenure. So it's an intrinsic good, and it goes towards our mission of increasing access to the greatest extent possible, to the greatest number of people that we are able to. The community has already paid for the collection, so they need to have access to it now more than ever. So that's my spiel. So does anybody have any questions for either myself or for Natalie?
Joe, I just have a comment that I think
Absolutely.
between Natalie's presentation and the report that you've put together and some of the data points, I think that we have a really rich set of data points and information, different ways to educate, the community, and start to put the message together once we make a final decision on implementation and time frame.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay. Well, with that, I think maybe we can say thank you to Natalie and have a good night, and then maybe we'll come back to this in old business. What do we think?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Joe, would you be able to show the agenda?
Yes.
And while you're doing that, and guide me here a little bit, and on my my first meeting.
You're
but
doing great so far.
I think at this point we are looking for a call to order for the January 17th, 2022 monthly meeting.
I'm sorry, Deborah, I've got so many windows open.
That's okay.
Sorry, guys. I had taken a break between the meetings. I would have reset myself. Oh my gosh. Let me just say, that we are looking for a call to order and then any additions to the agenda. So does anybody have any additions to the agenda?
Deborah, you're muted.
Sorry, folks. So we're looking for a motion to call the meeting to order at 7:36. Motion, Amanda, could I have a second? Melanie? And as Joe had just mentioned, do we have any additions to the agenda or any changes? No changes, no additions? Okay.
So next we need to review and accept the minutes of the December 20th, 2021 meeting.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Does anyone have any additions, any questions or changes to the previous month's meeting minutes? Seeing none. Okay. Could I have a motion to accept the previous meeting minutes? Paul, motion, second.
I'll second.
Catherine, thank you. All right, meeting minutes accepted for December.
Okay, I got it now, and just in time to have to flip over to the financial reports. Okay.
All right.
So now we have the treasurer's report for December 2021.
So I guess the first one is just the second statement of financial position, which compares our accounts as of December, compares it to our accounts as of November. There wasn't much change. I don't know if everybody has it in front of them. The biggest change is in our business checking account, and that is just from doing normal business. So you'll see that everything else was pretty much as expected or about the same. So any questions on that one? Comments? And then the other two are just the ones that we went over on the annual meeting. Do we need to do anything about those again?
We don't necessarily need to go over them again, but I think they do need to be approved. So
Okay.
we did describe and discuss them in our annual meeting. These are our profit P versus L, profit versus loss comparison, and our budget versus annual for December 2021.
Okay, thank you, Melanie and Joe. May I have a motion to accept the financial reports? Tracy, second. Paul, thank you.
All right, so now we are on to the director's report. Well, it was a long month, December. We had a total physical circulation of 1,708 items, which compares favorably to December 2019. Twice the digital circulation of December 2019. So this is all for the good. The biggest thing over the past month has just been dealing with COVID related issues, and we've had certainly over the past several weeks since the holidays, we've just had several staff members not test positive. Up to now, we still have not had a single staff member test positive even once. I do not expect that luck to last forever. But obviously I am mindful of the fact that, our folks are doing everything smart and doing everything the way that they need to do it. I feel like we're keeping everybody safe in the library, but these things are coming in closer. Several staff members have had family members or people who they spent the holidays with who did test positive. In those cases, we have had those staff members stay home and not come into work until they have, first of all, passed 5 days from exposure and then taken a test after that to make sure that they are COVID negative. I am very grateful that we were able to receive 10 boxes, 20 tests, 20 at-home COVID tests from the town of Guilderland, procured for us by Supervisor Barber. So very grateful to Peter for thinking of us in doing that. Slightly less so for including the fact that he did that in his most recent COVID update, which made it read a little bit ambiguously. So we've gotten a couple of phone calls today from people who thought that maybe we had them to hand out. We do not. I have offered the town our services as a distribution point if folks, if there are more in the future, and if they think that that we could be helpful as a distribution point, we'll be very happy to do that. We are going to be getting some more tests from County Legislator Jeff Purley. So very grateful to Jeff. They may have actually been dropped off on Saturday. So we do have tests for the staff and we have masks for the staff. And I have distributed them to several staff members. Others I have not seen. I'm going to be dropping off a couple of boxes to somebody's home tomorrow. So it's been for all of the time that we've had folks out dealing with COVID issues, and possible exposures. Last week was a very, very long week. I think I closed the library. I opened the library at, I get there typically at 8:30. And last week I closed the library 4 out of 5 days at 6 o'clock. So it's, we've been relying more on other staff members, and we've had some great staff members able to fill in some of the gaps, but it's been tough. We've also seen folks, patrons more inclined to pick up materials from the vestibule in a way that they have not been doing since the beginning of the year. So we have been mindful of offering that, reminding people that service is available to them, that we can, put together a bag of books for them, or if they have holds that they'd like to pick up, we can check those out to them and have them available for them in the vestibule like we used to do all the time under grab and go conditions. And we've been seeing more people choosing to do that because they are trying to minimize their exposure. So we are very happy to continue to do that. I don't think that, I think that it is, we are doing everything that we can do to maintain a healthful environment for our patrons and for our staff. I do not recommend an adjustment to our mode of operation at this point. At some point we may have to step back. I don't know, everybody keeps saying, it's going to peak, and maybe it will. But I don't think it's going to be, as precipitous a decline as we saw an increase, over the month of December. So we're doing what we can. I hardly know what to say about this anymore. We're doing our best, and we're trying to keep it going. As I mentioned earlier, we have approved auto renewal. So auto renewal is going to go into effect. Oh, for anybody who has not been in our past couple of meetings, Auto renewal is exactly what it sounds like. So we have the ability now through Upper Hudson to flip a switch that says that when you get to 2 days before an item's due date, if it can be automatically renewed, it will be automatically renewed without the patron having to do anything positive to make that happen. There are some instances where things would not be able to be renewed if a patron has an excessive overdue fine, if they have items out that are requested by other patrons. In those cases, the items can't be renewed. Or we may have local loan rules like we do for museum passes that says that they cannot be renewed. In those instances, the item would not be renewed. Other than that, if you've got something due 2 days before its due date, it gets automatically renewed and you get notification that it has been automatically renewed on your account. So I think it's, if it is something that we can do, then it's churlish not to. So we are going to be flipping that switch by the end of the month. It takes place for all of the libraries in the system. So we are all going to be going live with that on the same day, and I look forward to that. That's really all I need to talk about for this. So thank you. Any questions?
Joe. Thanks for putting in the week that you did, Joe. It's very much appreciated.
It's gearing up to be a similar week, I'm sorry to say.
Well, whatever I can do or the rest of us can do to offload anything or, support you this week, we're here.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Deborah. That's very kind of you to say.
So, and if I recall correctly, we don't need to have a motion on the director's report, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so on to committee reports. And thanks for going through the gyrations that you had to, unfortunately, with everything that you were displaying for us tonight. I appreciate this.
Mhm.
So on to committee reports. So the building committee, Joe, you had talked about the LED lighting conversion.
Yeah. So we have 2 projects that we have money to spend over the course of the next year on. One of those is something that we can get going with pretty quickly. We have one bid from Potentia Management for a project that will replace all of our CFL lighting fixtures with energy efficient LEDs. And I would like to have the board's permission to reach out to Potentia Management and sign a contract with them to get on their schedule for a total project cost of not more than $3,000.
I'm certainly fine with that, Joe. Does anyone have any other concerns or questions about going forward with this?
I had a question. I don't remember looking, I saw the proposal that they sent along, but I want to make sure that it was stipulated and we are aware of the character of the lighting that's going to go in. Perhaps this is something that we spoke about already, but warm versus bright white. I wasn't sure if it had been named in there, but something that we need to be aware of before it goes in so that it doesn't have an adverse effect on the atmosphere, the lighting atmosphere.
Right. Yeah. So I mean that can make a huge difference to the to the atmosphere of the place. It is something that I spoke with the contractor over at Potentia Management. There are a couple of different warmth options, for lack of a better phrase. And we are going to be trying to the lights that we have there now are actually a bit of a kind of a harsher, whiter, brighter light. than we have traditionally used in other parts of the building where the ceilings are lower, where we've had a warmer light. So if we go warmer from where we are now, I mean, I think that'd be, I think that would be good. Kind of a more yellowish kind of a light. So they're aware of our preference on that, and that will certainly be a consideration. I don't know if they can demo or how they. I'm sure that we're not the first person to ask what a light looks like when they're done with it. So if I can get some visual representations of the various lighting options available, then I will send that around to yourself, Paul, and to anybody else who wants to join up on the building committee before we make a final decision on which of the lights are the ones that go in.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on building? All right, finance.
Paul, did you have anything else?
Not really. We've had some discussions about the platform, and I'm in the process of trying to put together some pluses and minuses, advantages and disadvantages of different types of platforms. So we'll hopefully have more information in the near future to present about that, so we can then make a decision about which way we want to go, and then try to secure a contractor to get it done, when the weather turns warm. That's about it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. All right, moving on to finance.
I don't have too much to share. We talked about the grants, about the lights and the platform a little bit. We did talk about perhaps providing a financial 101. Jason had offered to kind of put together something so that everyone can maybe clearly or more clearly understand the financial report. So that may be something we'll look at in February. So stay tuned. And then we just set up our meeting schedule for the year, which we are the second Monday of the month at 6 o'clock. That's all I have.
Thanks, Melanie. All right, long-range planning.
We have not met, but we will probably, once we've got a committee together, a full committee roster, we will probably want to meet no later than have a first meeting of the year sometime in February. So once we've got the committee set up, we will be in touch.
Good, thank you. Personnel.
So that would be you, but I don't think.
Okay. No, I have not met. We can talk about that, Joe.
Mhm.
All right. Policy, I know we haven't met.
No, I will say that we've taken a 2-month break from the schedule that we'd been on of monthly policy reviews, and that is for a reason. The two that we otherwise would have done that are called for in our schedule of policy review are two policies that I knew we were going to be talking and thinking about. And so I didn't want to make any changes when we were probably going to, want to make some changes to those over the next couple of weeks. One of them, of course, is the circulation policy, which touches on final elimination if we choose to go that route. But the other one has to do with materials selection. So recently, earlier this week, there's been a whole lot more discussion, and you saw this in my director's report, a lot of discussion about materials challenges, the increase in materials challenges in libraries. And so I took part in a webinar provided by Tim Burke and Mary Fellows at Upper Hudson about preparing policies, for the eventuality of materials challenges. And so there are some changes based on the feedback that we got or what I heard in that webinar that I would like to make to our policy. So we'll see that coming out at future board meetings, hopefully, hopefully next month, but that'll be something that we work through with the policy committee going forward.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. And then finally, program.
Did not meet.
Okay. And then old business, and I apologize. I kind of jumped around our agenda here tonight. Is there anything else under old business, Joe, that you want to cover since we've had Natalie's presentation and discussion about, did we have discussion about overdue? Yes, both items.
Yeah, so we have the discussion of what we could do now is we can have some additional discussion amongst ourselves, and then if anybody wanted to make a motion on final elimination, then we could do that.
Is there any case to be made against final elimination? I feel like we've got lots of good information as far as the benefits of it. And it seems like from what Natalie presented, most of the most common arguments are pretty easily debunked. For the libraries that have not yet gone with final elimination, I mean, obviously, it sounds like some of them have their hands tied for policy reasons. Are there any that are making a case for keeping fines that we should consider?
If we were meeting under normal circumstances, I would be at the library. And if I was at the library, then I would have the Long Island Newsday that my mother sent me in the mail from a couple of months ago, when the headline on the whole, it's a tabloid, so the whole front page was an article, a big headline about an article about libraries doing away with overdue fines. It didn't even have like a punchy headline that was like memorable or anything. The off to the right hand side of that was an article about it must have been in October, because it was another article about all of the pumpkin related traffic on the North Shore of Long Island that day. So whatever that day was, just must have been the best day on Long Island. There was so little going on the whole island that the cover of the paper was overdue fine elimination and pumpkin traffic. In that article, they tried, the two writers, spoke to seemingly every librarian on Long Island, and they only found one who would speak in favor of maintaining overdue fines. And his response was, kind of that groaner about responsibility. How are the kids going to learn responsibility if we don't teach them? And I have nothing kind to say about that argument. But obviously there is a financial benefit to having overdue fines to the library. We do, even under the kind of, duress circumstances that we've had over the past year, we still did take in $827, which on a library with a budget the size of ours is not nothing. So it is certainly a revenue generator. Not all of that is overdue fines. Some of that is lost materials. But the vast majority of that $827 is overdue fines. Is overdue fines. I struggle to come up with anything other than sort of that. I don't know. I certainly don't mean to demean the argument. I have certainly tried to look at it from the other side, and I have trouble doing that.
Joe, this is playing a devil's advocate because I don't know if this is possible. There's no way for these fine collecting libraries to restrict these other libraries from like what could be disseminated through the chain. Like if somebody's like, oops, we're not sending that to Altamonte because they're fine free, so let's keep it to one of these other libraries. Like, is there an algorithm of how those things get pulled?
Yeah, you could, the only way that you would be able to do that, the only way that you would be able to restrict it to any library other than yourself would be to restrict it to all libraries. You can't, the Oulan Agreement does not allow libraries to pick and choose which libraries they will lend to.
Okay.
So theoretically, a library could sort of cut themselves off from the other libraries by choosing not to share their collection with any other. And and there was one small Rensselaer County library that did that for a long time. They were kind of the Hermit Library. And they had a great, really weird collection. They had a library director that had been there for over 40 years, and they liked it that way, and they were not going to change. And then they left, and now we have access to that collection. All of the libraries in the system do. So you can do it if you want to, but it means cutting the entire collection off from the system.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure all ideas, as Shannon was saying, were vetted just to make sure. I mean, again, I just think it's, instead of financially penalizing, a family, it's just inherent that we return what is not ours and return it in a timely fashion. And I think that's more of a lesson rather than, having this form of punishment on some families that might be a lot. So that's the argument I have for going fine free, because there's other lessons and other ways to teach it.
As some of you may have had experience to see, we have few enough overdue fine letters that I'm able to handwrite a note on each one that goes out. It's never more than 2 or 3 per week. And this is for items that have gotten billed to the point where they're 30 or more days overdue. So I handwrite a note, and my note says, first of all, I think that seeing something that's not purely auto-generated, but something in a human being's hand that has an effect. But also the message is, please return this as soon as you can so that other people may use it. And then I also say, if you return it, then the fine goes down. But the headline is, this belongs to all of us. This is something that all of us have bought all together to be used by all of us all together. And everybody needs to have access to it, and you need to share. And that's a potent message, and people respond to it. People respond to it very well, much more so than, it's going to cost you.
Do we know if Guilderland is going fine free? The reason I ask is because I don't think we need them to do it, but I feel like if they went and we didn't, it would be a huge impact.
So they have not announced this yet. This is between all of us and our staggering YouTube Live audience of Russian bots that keep populating our chat feature. But they did vote to go overdue fine free next at their last meeting. I have asked them to hold their horses on making that announcement, so that if we are able to do it, we can make that announcement together. We'll get more bang for our buck. We could do, a letter together in the Altamonte Enterprise, or in the Times Union. I just think we have, it gets better permeation, and it allows for a greater continuity of user experience amongst the two libraries.
So did Natalie say that we could go ahead and vote today and then work out all the details over the coming months? Is that something that I heard correctly?
We could, if we were working on our own time frame, then we could take whatever time we want to. But if we are going to go ahead with in tandem with Guilderland, then we will have to sort of negotiate and work out the timeline that we do this announcement on. What I had sort of always thought was that they would choose to do it in line with their fiscal year, which begins in July. If we do it in July, then, they can, work through whatever, they can plan for that in their next budget. And we could also announce it in conjunction with the beginning of summer reading. So that would be another, good reason to sort of do it in early June. But it is what it is. I'm ready to go whenever they're ready to go.
When we get to the work, assuming that we go with this, when we get to the working out the details with Guilderland phase, what does that look like? And other than the PR, what sorts of things do we need to coordinate with them?
So there are a couple of details that would need to be worked out. So do we want to keep, are there any additional elements of our collection that we would want to restrict from being fine-free? Do we want to maintain overdue fines, for example, on museum passes to encourage their speedy return? That's a possibility. And that would be something that I would want to work out with them so that we have a coordinated policy on that. What's the periodicity for notification? So do we send out notes after 3 weeks? Do we send notes out after 30 days? When does the second notification go out? So the periodicity of notification about overdues would have to be worked out between us. Those little things about loan rules, that's about it. And those we would work out with probably Phil Bernardi, their head of circulation.
Can I ask, is this a task for the policy committee, or is this a special committee to hammer out the details?
It's the policy committee, I would think.
Okay.
So where do you think we are as a board? Do we feel comfortable voting on this evening? Just to recap Paul's point that Natalie had said, a vote does not mean that we flip the switch tomorrow. And obviously Joe has been in conversation with Tim and Phil Bernardi at Guilderland to kind of discuss the coordination efforts. Does the board feel that we're ready to vote on this evening?
I do.
Yeah, I
think
don't,
so.
it doesn't sound like there's any new information that we need to consider.
Okay.
No, I think the only thing that Joe just bringing up the museum passes where it holds up a family from actually physically doing something. If the extenuating circumstance of museum pass, you kind of have it to go somewhere as opposed to somebody just wanting the latest bestseller. I think there's that exemption that could come into play only because that really holds up somebody's potential plans as opposed to a book. But if we could iron out those details afterwards, then I think we're good.
Yeah, sort of separate from this discussion, we would probably want to have a discussion about, loan periods. So, do our loan periods match up for the major categories of materials that we circulate? They let museum passes go out for a week. We put them out for 3 days. So we might want to, sort of sync those things up. I think 3 days I think that's the better move, just to sort of get things going. We never have a problem with overdue passes or museum passes staying out, more than a day beyond their due date. So we really do see some speedy circulation on that in that area. So, yeah, good. Thank you.
Good. So Joe, I'll summarize what we're looking for a motion, and if you feel we need to sort of add anything else to it. So I think what I'm hearing is that can I have a motion for the Altamonte Free Library to adopt fine elimination? Tracy, second. Catherine, thank you. Thank you, Joe. I know how much work you have put into this, and it's been incredibly informative. And certainly having Natalie here tonight was very, very helpful. And I think that, for the policy committee, to meet fairly soon and start, the discussion around communication, education, implementation, and so forth will be great. Okay. And I
Do we
think,
have I'm sorry, I think we got a second, but do we have a vote?
oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passed. Congratulations, Joe. All right. Thank you all for being patient with my learning curve here.
You're doing good.
So I think we're on to old business now, Joe?
I think we're on to new business
We're
now.
on to new business. Okay, sorry. I will make sure at our next meeting that I have a printed agenda in front of me here. So I'll be able to drive a little more effectively next meeting.
But I don't think that we have anything on new business, but let me just check. No, the only thing that we have under new business is the talking point of the month. I didn't prepare one ahead of time. So what's the talking point of the month? What should we tell people to talk about? Well, we don't want people to talk about final elimination just yet. We would like to sort of keep that in our pocket. So let's say that we'd like people to, I'd like you to remind your friends and colleagues that all modes of circulation are still available. So if people feel more comfortable doing grab and go, just having, and the book concierge service, let's talk about that too. So we've had more people just saying, put me together a bag of books. And we will ask, what's the last thing that you read? What's the last thing that you really loved? What kind of a feeling do you want from it? What color do you want the cover to be? And then based on that, our crack squad of librarian folk will put together a bag of books for you. You can pick those up in the vestibule if you don't want to come in. Yeah, let's make that the talking point of the month.
Sounds good.
All right. So then just adjournment.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn at 8:14 this evening? Paul, second, Shannon. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All
Stay
right.
warm, be
Thank
safe.
you all.
Oh, thanks, Deb.
Good job, Deborah.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
everyone.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Good
Good work,
night.
guys. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.